Okay, and we're moving on right now to a slightly different story. The External Affairs Minister Dr S Jaishankar addressing reports right now of unrest taking place in PoK, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. This is what the External Affairs Minister he said today. There are certain ferments happening in PoK. The analysis of it is very complex. I have no doubt in my own mind that someone living in PoK is comparing their situation with someone living in J&K and saying how people there are progressing nowadays. So he's essentially arguing that it is the state of affairs in Jammu and Kashmir and the benefits people there are seeing that is leading to this fermenting. Let's just very quickly play out for you what the External Affairs Minister had to say. Take a look.
Today, yes, there is a certain ferment happening in PoK. The analysis of it is very complex, but definitely I have no doubt in my own mind that someone living in PoK is comparing their situation with someone actually living in Jammu and Kashmir and saying that, how is it that people today are actually progressing there. And they know that sense of being under occupation, of being discriminated, of being treated badly. I think clearly that any such comparison would be preying on their minds. Till 370, when 370 was continuing, in our own country, actually there was not much discussion about PoK.
Okay, as you can see on your screens right now, S. Jaishankar, the country's External Affairs Minister, talking about reports of unrest coming in from PoK. Let's just go over to our colleague Abhishek to understand more. Abhishek, these are reports we've been carrying for the last few days. Let me just remind our audiences, a few days ago we first brought our audiences a report of one police officer being killed, 100 law enforcement personnel sustaining injuries during intense confrontations between security forces and demonstrators. They were essentially protesting about the elevated costs of wheat, flour, electricity in a region that is called Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Now, just tell our audiences, because these are clashes that the area has been experiencing since Saturday itself. Now the External Affairs Minister coming in with this statement. But there's also a shutter-down strike taking place across the region. Just bring us context, please.
Victoria, the culmination of the protest that we are witnessing right now happening in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir has a history of at least of a couple of years when people in these areas in Gilgit-Baltistan, they have continuously been protesting and demanding that the state sitting in Islamabad should listen to the needs of the people in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, their basic amenities, health, education, inflation, availability of essential and staple kitchen items. These have become scarce and people have been suffering, protesting for days in the past also. But the recent one that we are witnessing, which has become very violent, where we have seen a lot of protesters being fighting with the police personnel, army being deployed. Then some of the security personnel have been dead also in these clashes, and many of them have been injured. Scores of protesters have been fired upon by the police. Tear gas shells are being fired, rubber bullets fired. So that is one of the reasons why the condition of Jammu and Kashmir, that is currently in India, which is seeing a new era of development, should not be compared with what PoK has been suffering for decades. The development, the new light in which the youth of Kashmir has now tried to adopt and with open arms, the development is something that is not comparable to what the people and the citizens in PoK has been suffering for decades. And this is what, as Jaishankar tried to highlight, that comparing these two situations are not appropriate. And since many countries in the Western world have also tried to compare it, and he clearly rebuffed all these comparing standards, saying that what is happening in the Indian part of Kashmir is something that is development, that is new light of development, and what is happening in PoK is the continuous operation of Pakistani government that has now culminated in a frustrated mob attacking police personnel in that region.
Okay, Abhishek, thank you. This is a story we've been covering over the last few days. We'll continue to cover it. Right now, we're heading into a quick break. On the other side, more of the country's top stories. This is the Breaking News Show on CNN News 18.